That's on toward or
Probably for dictate.
Okay, at 6 p.m. we'll call our evening order. Pledge of allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a roll call, please?
Mrs. Medina? Here. Mrs. Royal? Here. Mr. Kriegs?
Here.
Mr. Bendel?
Here.
Mrs. Lee? Here. Mrs. Head? Here. Mr. Davis?
Here. Thank you, Rainey. We'll start with the student representatives report. Drake.
Recently, the swim team just went to state. We got 19th in the 200 medley relay, and then Brett Burns got 15th in the 100 breaststroke. Did great. The juniors just took the ACT in the Marquis. It was a really long week that we all did. We just ended the third trimester. Well, we just started the third trimester, so we're getting into that. We're getting adjusted to new schedules. And that means spring sports are coming out. But then next week is spring break, so we're all waiting for that. Last week, DECA competed at state, and we have 11 national qualifiers, and they'll be going down to Nashville, Tennessee in April to represent Wisconsin Rapids. The Name It, Claim It, Stop It group is going to be presented to sophomores on Friday to get the word out about stop bullying, and they're going to be going to elementary school in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to tell you this early, just April 23rd is the spring musical with Mayor Collins, so in case you guys want to write that down. FCCLA is prepping for state, and they're going to compete in there, and hopefully they'll do well. And then VAC, which is in our club, the Parents Art Club, is going to be competing Friday against other schools, and so they do well too.
Great. Thank you. Sounds like a busy time of week. Let's move to approval of the minutes.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of February 8th, 2016, and the special Board of Education meeting minutes of February 25th.
Second.
Give me a motion a second to approve the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of February 8th and the special Board of Education meeting minutes of February 25th. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, the minutes are approved. Two comments from citizens and delegations. Do you have anything?
No.
Okay. Committee reports. John, what do you have for business services?
Thank you, John. Yes, business services met on March 7, 2016 at 6 o'clock, and the meeting was called to order, and we did not have any public comment. We have 3 consent agenda items on our docket. Did anybody want anything held up? Okay, hearing none. The committee recommends, and I move the following. The first item, DS1, was an amendment to the policy 830.1 facility use of the Performing Arts Center. The majority of the updates were wording and bringing up all of the up to our current wording in as far as cigarettes, e-cigarettes, weapons, guns, firearms, changing certain things from, for example, PAC coordinator to either a secretary or the director, depending on who really should be handling that type of thing. And the biggest change was to the pricing structure of the use of the center. Since prices went down. Yeah, some prices went down. With all the improvements we've been doing to the center, if you have been following business services, we've had multiple items over the past 3 months, 4 months on improving the PAC. PAC opened in 2000, and most of the equipment that it was in it is now 16 years old. And with everything else, when you use a computer, you're only getting 3 to 5 years out of it before it's outdated. Much of the equipment is actually still functional, however, it isn't usable in today's world because it doesn't communicate with all the protocols we have and all of the updates of video and streaming and everything else, so it needs to be updated, which actually leads into our second item, which is Performing Arts Center Projection System Purchase, BS2, and that is the update of the video system and the screen that is in the system. The current system will not work with HDMI And what were the other?
You were talking about networking.
Networking, yeah. Basically, all of the current communication, and it also isn't modular. So in order to replace that projector, which now comes down out of the ceiling on big scissors, it takes physically two people to replace it and fix it and do anything we need to do with it. And they have to go up above on the catwalk to do that. So the new system that is being proposed is a modular system, will be upgradable and is usable to today's protocols and would basically bring our PAC system, the improvements we've done to lighting, sound, and now the video. It'll be one of the premier performing arts centers in the central Wisconsin, as far as with all of their technology and the abilities it will have with the lighting, the video, and the sound system. The second item, BS2, is was a motion for the purchase of a projection system at the Performing Arts Center from Soundworks at a total cost of $26,209.25, with the funding coming from Community Fund Services Fund 80 as permitted by the DPI and various funds, depending on, we hear back from the state auditors on which funds we can use to fund this particular purchase. And then the last item was BS3, and this is a purchase of computers for both East Junior High and Howell Elementary. It's part of the cycle, as Phil had described to us, of updating all of our computers, which these were about 7 years old, to the as current technologies we can get. And the nice thing with these is they do have a 5-year warranty as opposed to some of the other ones that had a 3-year warranty, which had a few pennies cheaper on the bid. However, with the additional warranty, made them far more cost effective for the school district to get a 5-year warranty on a purchase. So that purchase was proposal to purchase from Brightspeed 26 computers for East Junior High, room 107 lab at a total cost of $15,680, and 41 computers for Howell Elementary at a total cost of $25,420. Both of them were to be funded from the 2015-16 district technology budget. So the committee moves, and I recommend approval of these three items, BS1, BS2, and BS3.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve BS 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, roll call, please.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Bungel?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Krings?
Yes.
Mrs. Head?
Yes.
Mrs. Moreno?
Yes.
Thank you, Maureen.
And then the balance of our report is an update on a previous purchase we had discussed, and the reason the purchase got pushed forward is because of the pricing was very attractive for us to buy them. We reviewed the purchase of 132 Chromebooks, which will be used at 4 different buildings, and a price point of below $189 each, which is below $200 for a Chromebook is pretty amazing, and they were going up within the next couple of months. So that's why the purchase was moved forward a little bit, but it was a smart purchase and saved us probably in the neighborhood of $132, but it's $13,000 probably. $1,300. And with that, I submit the balance of our educational service, or business services meeting minutes.
Okay, motion and second to approve the meeting minutes of Business Service Committee of March 7th, 2016. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries, minutes are approved. Thank you, Don. We'll move on to personnel services.
Personnel Services met last Monday, March 7th at 6 p.m. We had public, everyone wanted to speak. From that meeting, we have 4 consent agenda items, and they are as follows. The committee recommends and I move to approve the 7 support staff appointments. And the second one, you might want to consider this very carefully. The committee recommends and I move to approve the 9 professional staff early retirements. Out of those 9, we have 8 teachers that have a total of 241 years of teaching experience. We go from a high of 42 years out of those 8 to a low of 24. It's seeing those names is
Were these on the original?
We added to the 4 were added on at the meeting.
I didn't think I saw
No.
all of them on there.
No.
Thank you.
It was added on at the meeting. 3, the committee recommends and I move to approve the 2 support staff resignations. And 4, the committee recommends and I move to approve policy 443.2, rule bus conduct for second reading. When you look at the, under parents' responsibilities, and we're talking about assignments on buses, the big thing was on number 1, this was something that was more long-term change that would perhaps take the whole school year, and this would involve central office staff. And number 2 was something that could be day by day, and that would be basically the school secretary. That was the main difference from that, even though we're looking at assigned seating. Does anybody want anything held out?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve PS 1, 2, 3, and 4. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
And with that, I move that the minutes from the March 7th meeting be approved as printed. And I also move that the minutes from the February 17th, 2016 closed session be approved as printed. I'll second that.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve the meeting minutes from the Special Personal Services Committee meeting February 17th and the regular Personnel Services Committee meeting minutes of March 7th. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Minutes are approved. Thank you, Sandy. Move on to Educational Services. Ann.
Thanks, John. The Educational Services meeting was held on March 7th, 2016 as well. We had no public comment. There are 2 consent agenda items, one about the district strategic plan and the other about elementary health acquisition. Does anyone want either of those held up? Okay. The district strategic plan, Colleen Dickman, who's our superintendent, reviewed changes to the strategic plan. She explained reasons for the changes and asked if the committee had any questions or changes they would like made to the document. The committee agreed to the removal of items that have been accomplished for several years and are still listed on the plan. The second one was the elementary health acquisition, and Isaac Holberg, who's the health CII chairperson, reviewed the health materials that grades K through 2 and 4 have selected. The committee learned that classroom teachers are focusing on health through other curricular areas, and the proposed tray books and posters will enhance their teaching. The acquisition will allow for classroom teachers to have a set of books in every classroom. Material selections for grades 3 and 5 is still in process and a priority for the Health CII Committee to finalize. With that, the committee recommends, and I move to approve those 2 consent agenda items.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve PS 1 and 2. Maureen, can we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Head?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Medina? Mr. Bembo?
Yes.
Mrs. Whalen? Yes. Mr. Cranes?
Yes. Thank you, Maureen.
Okay, then we went on to updates. The first one was about youth options and course options. Kathy Stebbins-Hintz noted that there are no youth options requests for the fall of the 2016-17 school year. There are 5 students taking 7 courses during semester 2 of the 2015-16 school year through the course options program. 26 students are enrolled in the CCHI program, taking the nursing assistant class at Mid-State Technical College through the course options program. And then we went on to student travel, and Kathy shared that there are 12 students who will be traveling to Ecuador through the Intercultural Student Experience, or ISE program, from March 19th to March 29th, 2016. And there are also 20 students who will be traveling to New York City to see 3 Broadway musicals from June 8th to June 11th, 2016. With that, the committee recommends, and I move that we accept the balance of the Educational Services Committee meeting minutes of March 7th, 2016.
I'll second that.
Motion second to approve the regular committee meeting minutes of the Educational Service Committee of March 7th, 2016. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, minutes are approved. Thank you, Ann. And we'll move on to agenda referrals and commission requests. Anything this month? Okay, legislative agenda. We have this week, John.
We got a couple things. It's been, fairly quiet. This is from the latest from WASB, is Senate prepares to wrap up legislative sessions starting tomorrow at 11 a.m. for what by all accounts will be their last 4 sessions of the day for the 2015-16 legislative session. All eyes will be on the Capitol focused on 85 bills that made it to the final Senate calendar. Some of these bills, Senate Bill 615, which is an amendment, was added to the Assembly to change how public schools districts recoup state aid when they lose students who reside in district participated statewide vouchers. This change reduces the revenue limit authority affected by districts to about 5.3 million statewide. So that could impact us seriously. Assembly Bill 722 requires each school to maintain a website for which DPI has published a school report card to prominently display a link to the school's most recent report card on the school's internet site within 30 days after DPI publishes the report. Curiously enough, private voucher schools and independent charter schools are subject to the same requirement if they maintain a website. That's if they maintain a website.
And I think if they have 10 or fewer students attending, I don't think they're
Right.
subject to it either. because-
Voucher schools are not subject to the same with voucher students number less than 10, which most of them probably have a few. Assembly Bill 824, which adjusts varsity aid eligibility. We're not eligible. Those are the main bills. I know Colleen had noted that bills that didn't receive any traction in the legislature's level were concealed carry on the school grounds, the changing rooms issue, referendum timelines, and the WIE being subject to open meetings and public records. And then there's a raft of 85 bills, and not all of them pertain to education, but I'm sure a good share of them do. The second thing that I came across today was kind of interesting is this is out of the Journal Central in regards to some three schools in Milwaukee under the Catholic school system, the Mesmer schools, to raise teacher pay, narrowing the pay gap with public schools. Kind of find it curious that they are able to just increase their teachers' pay with public money. At Mesmer, the salary for a beginning teacher is $29,000, and the highest paid teacher earns $59,000. Within 2 years, the pay scale will range from 37 to about 73. This then goes on to a report. It says Mesmer serves 1,675 students in 3 schools within Milwaukee. 98% of its schools attend through state-funded vouchers. So they're going to use the voucher increase of $100 per student for the upcoming year to contribute $164,000 towards the cost of the raises. It says most of its students live near or below the federal poverty level. So I'm not sure if it's out of the 1,675, if we do the math, 1,640 of them are under vouchers. Now, it doesn't say, it says public school vouchers, but it doesn't say how many of them were there before the voucher system and how many are actually public school. I mean, if we use the numbers out of the state, 86% of the kids in vouchers were already in voucher schools. 14% attend public schools for this last session of vouchers. So that's a little, I find it disturbing that they're using all this public money to increase wages when we can't increase wages for our teachers under the same laws, or Act 10. But other than that, that's all I have right now.
On a positive note, I don't know if this is similar to other sessions, but there were items that they backed up on and didn't do. They did the thing with crime, they're doing it in 3 schools, rather than everybody going ahead with it. And there were 2 or 3 other things that they listened to us on and backed off.
We'll see them again.
Huh?
We'll see those same bills again next year.
Well, we'll be ready again.
Thanks for the report, John. Move on to the bills.
I would make a motion that receipts be noted and bills be paid as printed.
Second.
Give me a motion second that the receipts be noted and bills paid and printed. Will you please have a roll call vote on this one?
Mrs. Rael?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Crane?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Head?
Yes.
Mr. Bembo?
Yes.
Thank you, Maureen.
I had one thought as I was going through all the mileage things. Is there, and this is probably crazy to bring it up, but is there a way to figure the mileage at a certain number and say, rather than filling out all those reports and us making out checks, here's a mileage thing for next year? Is there a way to do something like that? Anybody ever tried it?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, your last 7 years, you've been using about 20,000 miles. Why don't we just pay you for that 20,000 and not have the paperwork?
I think it varies, because every year everybody's assignments are a little bit different. So if you're a traveling staff member in the district, you might be going to different schools than you were going to this year. You know what I mean? People that are going off to professional development often use the school van, and if they don't, they may or may not go to that same conference the following week. I don't know, Dan, are you familiar with schools that maybe do
If we
something
don't
like that?
reimburse for actual mileage, the IRS can audit you, and any amount that you receive for undocumented miles will become income to you. So that's why, as a district, we ask for the documentation of the mileage. Does that answer your question? Sure. Okay.
I know in some cases, I think in some districts, they might do like a car allowance or something
They
like
do.
that. Does that cover mileage, or is that just? That's
It
useful?
does, but the IRS code requires you to document that, and if you're paying a set amount per month or for the year, any undocumented miles are supposed to become income, taxable.
Nobody wants to do that.
Okay, we can move into new business. Possible action on employee appointments, resignations, and retirement requests.
We do have one recommendation for an appointment. Just prior to the start of the meeting, I passed a sheet around with some information for a recommendation that we have for a new hire. That appointment request is for Jordan Rayburn for a business education and keyboarding position in the district for next school year. That's year 16-17. Jordan is currently serving as a student teaching intern for the school district this semester. He's on target to graduate in May. Doing a good job for us. We went through an interview process a week ago and recommend his hire. For positions like this, it's hard to, as business ed is to fill right now, and with the strong demands of a very strong and rigorous business education program in the district, we wanted to be very aggressive about going after a new hire. And since we've got someone right here doing a good job, we wanted to act on that quickly this spring in preparation for next school year. So the administration does recommend approving Jordan Rayburn for a 1.0 FTE teaching position to start next school year.
I move quickly to approve the 16-17 contract with Jordan Rayburn at Lincoln High School in the East in marketing and business education for $37,500. Whatever else needs to be added in there.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the contract of Jordan Rayburn for 2016-17 school year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And the only other item we have listed is discussion and possible action to approve the proposed 6-month employee health insurance plan.
When we met with you, I don't know how many weeks ago it was, we talked to you about our renewal, and 2 weeks ago, and the renewal was higher than we were hoping for. However, in working with M3 and WBA, our insurance carrier, they were willing to give us a 6-month renewal of 14.4%, which we are recommending that we go forward with. And then in the meantime, we're looking for a January 1 renewal, so that we have a calendar year renewal, which matches our deductible. And then at that point, we'll be bringing forward, it will give us some time to review options and insurance between now and the end of December. And we would then bring to you in that period of time some of the options that we would propose, and we're hoping for a lower renewal rate at that point. So we'd recommend the 14.4 going forward. Brian, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that.
No, I think that covers what you explained.
The only thing I guess would recommend or mention is the fact that we had 103% usage rate, which literally means WEA was losing money on it.
Well, they're just not making as much as they'd like.
Exactly. Well, in essence, really, if you're above 100%, you're probably losing money, yeah. So that's another reason that there was a fairly high rate, and actually the original rates were much higher than this, so I do think it's noted that it was nice that our administration and M3 were able to at least negotiate it down from, I think it was in the 20s originally, to only a 14.4% increase.
I've said this before, and I'm seeing more of it, and I knew it before. Now Aaron Rodgers is cheering for one of the healthcare places with his endorsements. And this is crazy. There's no additional information we get about quality of healthcare, but when somebody is cheering for him on the billboards and on the TV ads, that's crazy. That's a waste of money. Period.
Competitive market, Larry. Any other questions about renewal?
I'd make a motion to recommend the approval of 14.4% health insurance renewal rate for 6 months with WEA Trust effective July 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2016.
Should be noted that's with no change to the plan.
Okay.
Accepted. Second.
Okay, we have motion to second to approve the recommendation of a 14.4 health insurance renewal for 6 months with the WEA Trust, effective July 1, 2016. Noted there are no changes to the plan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Looking at our calendar, we look out into July. The 5th is a Tuesday. So obviously we move our meeting from Monday to Tuesday. Would prefer to move things back a week. So then we would have the 11th and the 18th as our meeting dates.
I just asked John if he would bring that to the table, because I don't know if people travel on the weekend of the 4th. The 4th is on a Monday, so we would bump our meeting to Tuesday. That's how we have it scheduled right now. The 5th and the
It
11th.
wouldn't affect me at all. I don't have a problem either way.
Same here.
I'm okay with it.
Does anybody have a preference to move it?
I always prefer to leave it as it is.
Okay.
Okay. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.